Okay, boom, strike two, because the first one didn't really work. It cut off. So me and Arthur are again together on the TruMon show. A great pleasure, honor to have you with me again tonight, today for you, because it's Monday, early in the day. I don't like to use the word morning so much, but early in the day for you in Australia and at night for me here in Quebec. So
Yeah.
Arthur, I would like to go on again about our reasoning that we had together last Sunday about co-creation, because there, like I was saying before, there's some stuff still, like I don't think we're gonna explain or give our feelings about this whole creation thing in just 1 hour. It's gonna take longer than that. It took many years, I'm sure, but it took many years to get to where we are. Like now we're capable of creating so many different things. But the beginning, like not, I'm sure, I know at the beginning it wasn't probably it's an, if you want to call it, maybe an evolution or devolution. I'm not so
Mm,
sure anymore. I'm a bit confused with the
mm,
word, but
mm,
I think there's been some advancement for sure in the matter of creating things and creating life and creating
mm,
all sorts of things. So I would like you to maybe extend your thoughts a bit on the topic of
mm,
co-creation and how, because it's what's still not very clear to me is how we came, because if we're the only ones here, like we are, so far in 47 something Babylonian calendar year, I haven't seen no one else but humans here and animals and the whole earth. So if there is uh, man involved in creation, in what kind of way have we created the river, trees, mountains? Like I know we can create life, like I can make babies and I can create another human. This is powerful. Just that is so powerful. When you see it happening live, also when you see your wife give birth and all that, like it changed you a bit, change your
mm,
perspective on life for sure to see it happening.
mm,
So I would like you to, yeah, extend your thoughts on this, on the whole. It's not a concept. I don't like to use the word concept of creation because we're not elaborating concept here, but we are maybe giving our through our experience, because you speak out of experience here on Earth. So for sure, we're all delighted to hear you and hear what you have to say on that. So.
yeah, mixed in with a lot of insights.
Yeah.
Uh, that, um, I had a phone call yesterday from a really nice guy I really liked, married man with a 5-year-old child. I won't explain too much of that man's family background, but the the conversation came about because he wanted to know, well, what do I have to do to get away out of the system? How do I have to do to get on and to do co-creation and all that? And I said, well, and that's fresh in my head now because of that conversation. So, and the reason why I'm saying this, bringing this up, is because this is a common theme that happens with lots and lots of people over the years. Even people who said they've been watching our videos and reading our stuff for years, the penny doesn't seem to drop. They don't seem to really get it, even though we've tried studiously and intensely to explain it again and again and again and again. So it is something that has been so recessed in our deep sleep that walking the talk of co-creation is being like an alien in this alien world. So it, I'm going to do the best I can to explain it again.
I
In
know
my
it's not. I put you in a spot that it's not easy to explain because you're like
yes,
all of us in all this. So no, I expect you
so
to take your time and to find
yeah,
the good words.
thanks, bro. Thank you so much for that because
Yeah,
this is a really powerful, in your face question
yeah, yeah.
because I've seen it from direct experience from so many people. And I'm not exaggerating when I talk into multi-hundreds. It probably goes even into the thousands because of the emails and phone calls and over the years. and less now because of our website being down, and it's not, we don't have that magnet profile that it had, you know, with all the different subjects of the website that was drawing people in that would then find our work. But and the fact that we are very heavily ghosted, and so I don't think our work gets out much unless it's through word of mouth and through, or people pursuing something themselves to find love for life, whether it's on Facebook, you know, the Arthur Facebook wall, or the website, or the YouTube videos. But this guy who contacted me yesterday had indicated he'd been watching our videos, and this question came up, and I said to him, well, in a nutshell, I'm saying, well, it's a doing thing. It's an attitude, you know. Co-creation is not a concept. It's just simply, are you prepared to sacrifice the attachments to the system where we harbor all our possessions and, you know, all our material things in protection of uncertainty of what we don't know is coming tomorrow, and live in that doubt, live in that fear? Or are we prepared to surrender and live like the sun's shining and live like we're breathing, where we already have it all? And if we hold the dreams of that magnificence and say, well, I'm living just like the air that's available for me all the time. I'm living as the sun shines all the time. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow, though I'll have a big picture dream about how I want to progress out of the system, because we've got to be smart. Because why? You know, we had Waco, we've had Jonestown Massacre, we've had so many, including Russian communism and all that byproduct of socialism that has been played on us for 100 years now. And the idea of utopia being something at arm's length that we could never ever reach it. You know, and when I bring these subjects up about Kindom, people go, oh, it's a wonderful, beautiful dream, Arthur, but come on, bro, let's get back to reality now, mate. We've got to get on with things, you know. So basically, you know, let's get back into the duality. Let's get back into playing out our lives inside the hoops, where this is as good as it's going to be for us, regardless of our sentiments and whatever we feel. So this really does go on, and it's amazing how often it goes on. So it really, it's a doing thing. You just do it. It's an action thing. And in the doing of it, the little steps become bigger steps. You know, the motto, if you look after your cents, the cents look after your dollars. If you look after the small things and take care of them by being not bound to self-obsession anymore, you're prepared to let go of what's in it for me. You're prepared to create a way of life for the great joy of others around you. Sure, you need a bullshit detector. You have to be able to sense people's intentions and where are they really coming from. And this is one of the hard things, one of the most hardest things, because we are not practiced in doing that most of the time. We just get caught up in, oh, he's nice, she's nice, they say the right words and all that. Oh, they look like they fit into the same kind of, we don't like using the word herd mentality, but it is like Kindom can become another cult, another herd mentality. And you can have rose-colored glasses on, and you paint a picture around people how you want it to be, instead of actually allowing the real picture come to you and you see for what it really is. Now, this is really important stuff, because if we don't have that kind of waking up, we won't have a bullshit detector. Not that we are doubting other people, but we must remain vigilant and discerning about the emotions and the ego of those emotions coming into a dream that we're holding, and allowing that stuff to play out. So we have a responsibility, like the immune system in our body, to push out anything that doesn't belong in the dream that we are holding, right? Now, all of us know about dramas, you know, the kind of dramas we have in the system, the kind of shit we've all had and still have, that have compromised us. You know, like we say we want to do this and that and we love doing it, but this attitude of crap comes with it. And we play out the rackets of this crap. Now, to do co-creation, we have to be able to be aware of this crap and be able to see beyond that, so that we know that that kind of attitude, behavior, response is not what we're about. So even though shit may come up in our heads, we have to recognize and say, no, I'm behaving like this. I'm doing this. Right? So you have to be armed with other tools of interest, of creativity, of doing. So instead of getting caught up in our heads thinking about, the washing machine of people and thinking about, if this and that, and they're like this and that. And look, this kind of stuff goes on in all of us, mate. It really does. That chit chat between our ears. We have to be able to learn to quieten it down by not feeding it. And we don't feed it if we don't get caught up in it. But what we have to get caught up in are the dreams we say we want to live, we want to do. So growing gardens, creating community spaces, sharing the fictional resources of the system. So to get like a large tract of land amongst a bunch of people, just buy it, and if you want to then remove the title deeds and go down that road, you can. Or if you just want to fit in quietly and snugly into the system, but at a very, very low off-grid profile, you could do that too. But you've got to know what is what, which is which. And this series of videos we've been doing, Johnny, goes into these areas, right? So
But hold on, it's strange also how we've been really, really denurtured, far away from nature,
yeah,
because a child born in nature, like we say often, would not be able to build a computer. Like you need to be living in the city, in the society, to be able to have to gain that knowledge how to build computers. So anything that doesn't because most humans today, you put them in a city, they will survive, but put them in the wilderness, they will die.
mm,
It will take a little bit, but they will die eventually because they have nothing to eat and they won't
exactly.
find food because they're not
Yep.
trained for that.
Yeah.
So we're really trained to be denurture and build and create stuff that is far away from nature. Not saying that it's not useful, like we're using a computer now, but this whole thing of creating stuff that is far from nature comes with the fact that we have been
Yeah.
denaturalized.
Because we practice that. And so
Yeah.
the follow through of that is what we keep recreating. You see, everything about creation is follow through. So if you're practicing that, the follow through, it looks like a heroin addict. If you take a shot, you'll go through the high and then the lows, but then the follow through comes back and you've got to have another shot. So the follow through of all what you go through before you have your next shot is the follow through that you've recreated in having another shot and having another hit, having another joint. So the follow through of making money, so you have money to pay your rent and all that. The follow through of saving money, and the follow through of the system who siphon your fruits of labor, taken as your money through taxes and bills. All these are follow throughs. So all of nature has a follow through. The leaves drop to the ground, it forms the mulch and that helps to produce all the remineralization of all the new seedlings coming through and whatever's growing out of the humus of all that rotting branches and leaves and trunks that have come down. So there's a follow through. Now, there's either the follow through of what benefits the bigger picture of the dream of life, or there's the follow through that goes completely against it and keeps it apart. So those children will never ever be able to go back to nature because they've never practiced it. They don't know how to live like that. And this is what it all comes down to. So can I hold you? Like, for example, say you wanted to do Kindom with me and our family wanted to do Kindom with your family. The question is, can I hold the responsibility of your family in my dream? Meaning, can I maintain the responsibility of making sure that everything your family needs is taken care of, over and above the responsibility you're handling? You see, because if I deny the resources you require, that follow through of that denial continues and you'll be in a mediocrity and you'll be battling. So if I'm willing to surrender what I have, what Fiona has, not everything in terms of like we've got a room, we've got to have 20 people sleeping in it. I don't mean that, because we should be smart to create lots of space for everyone else to sleep. So if we get a piece of land, 100 acres, 500 acres, 1,000 acres, whatever, can I handle the responsibility of you and your family and making sure that everything you guys need is there. Knowing if I do that means I've also got it by doing that. So if I create freedom for you, I already have access to that freedom that I've created for you. So I don't have to worry about freedom. I'm just creating, I'm doing it. I'm living, being that freedom, that joy, that abundance. So co-creation is an attitude that doesn't come with all the emotional habits and worries. So there's no ego in that way. So we have to go through the mudroom that we've discussed before, but the mudroom is where we confront our shit, the follow through of our shit that keeps us in the shit, where we held back from what we feel from our heart, because our heart, the good heart, doesn't want to live like this, but the shit coming out of our head says no. We're going to throw a spanner in the works again for you guys. You can't have that. You're not deserving of that. You're not allowed to have it. I'm going to give you rules and laws and to deny you. So the question is this: are we refugees on our own motherland, or are we not? What are we without food, water, and shelter to take care of? Because it all comes back to these natural tenets, these virtues: food, water, shelter. That's what makes us what a man is, and being responsible. Now, can I maintain the responsibility of food, water, and shelter and share that freely with others who are not going to covet what I'm creating, and that I will not cover what you are creating, and yet together through co-creation, we're sharing the abundance without undermining and sabotaging the follow through that keeps providing that abundance, but not just the abundance, but the joy of the co-creation of the families working together, the co-creation of the abundance, the co-creation of the peace and the freedom and all that comes together
Yeah, but
naturally.
most are under the impression that they have that freedom, that of food and shelter and water, because you look around, they all live in houses, they have cars, they have the water red tap running, so the food is in the pantry, but it comes with a cost. You get a slave in
Massive
the
cost.
system for
Well, that's the system. And this is where the Love for Life Insight work has been shown that if you want one bit of the system, you have to bring it all. It all comes together. So if you want to have money, you need the whole system to support you having money. We're sort of talking about every single child has to be kidnapped from the womb and be educated to become a cog in the wheel of the system. So the progress of civilization of that follow through continues. So if you want to have the duality of the system, you are also wanting poverty, injustice, homelessness, etc., malnutrition, you name it. It all comes together with the good stuff. You can't just have the good bits of this without all that. You can't, you understand, without having that all blocked out. It's just impossible, because that's the way the duality works with this scam. So we're talking about rape, pillage, and plunder, using and abusing each other. So we can run around on an ego trip: my money, my house, my security, my land title deeds, whatever. But you are a slave in the system, bound by the rules, regulations, rituals, procedures, conditions, contracts, right? And you only have choice, because everything that you have is only provided to you based on the laws, the rules of those Freemasons high up who have determined what you are allowed to have, because the law will shape exactly what your business or what someone's business or what corporation can and can't do, and what within that, what you can have and what you can't have. Now, there's no freedom in any of this. It's all predetermined, right? And it is subjugation. So you can have water, but the water you're going to have will come through the pipes with a meter on it, and you have to pay for that.
and all kinds of
Now,
chemicals in it.
exactly. And the money doesn't grow out of the lawn, so you can't go and cut the lawn and use that to pay for the water. So you have to then go into the system of fiction to go and work to make fictional dollars, which is the only means of the law to allow you to pay your obligations to have that water pumped into your home. So
here I live in a country and people have big lands. I
Mm.
think it's a shame not to put a couple fruit trees on there and start growing food. Sometimes I walk around and I'm so like, wow,
Yeah,
they have that big land, they do nothing with it, they grow grass.
yeah. Well, that's that embargo you talked about in that earlier videos we did with Fiona, and then with the embargo, the blockade, which you brought up the blockade. So to have the system and to practice the follow through of that will never work because that's a co-creation of slavery. We work together to maintain each other's slavery in a slave system where we only have choice. We don't have freedom because these are not our dreams. See, we're not creating anything that's unique to us, right? It's all been predetermined. We've been educated into the hoops. You know, we talk about these are the cults of the hoops of the system. So you have to go to school and you got to practice the hoops of that. And as you grow up to become an adult, you become very skilled in jumping through the hoops of the cults. So you have a career with a title and a standing. And then behind it is the peer pressure and whether you're going to be ostracized enough, you decide you want to turn against this because everyone's telling you this is the norms and this is the law. I mean, these people have only been here based on their history. They have on this land we call Australia. They've only really been here a couple hundred years. And their law that's now we're operating under has only been probably, 100 and something years, not that long, because it was a penal colony before that. It was all based on, convicts and brutal slavery conditions. And we don't know the true history about how long that's been going on these lands because it's all been so twisted. So we really don't know for sure. And I'm not going to get into that subject now because that's just another whole thing. But if you get your head around that, you can see that they act as if the people behind it, they act as if that the power of the law and the people who uphold it have been here forever, as if this is the norms. When they've only just been here, you could hardly can fit the gap in your time, just how long they've been here doing. Where man on the land has been forever in the freedom of this abundance for a long. We can't even comprehend time because it'll never tell us the truth how long ago that freedom has been for all of us. So the follow through of the system, of the slave system, is no different to being addicted to heroin and having to have a fix and another fix and another fix. So I broke away when I got to realize the system, what it was, and that I was the problem, that I was complicit. And not only was I complicit in supporting the system while I'm pointing my finger, blaming people inside Macquarie Bank for stealing all the crimes, I got to see from a bigger picture that I'm a hypocrite because I'm actually supporting this system. And I'm expecting this system to provide me with justice when that system was not for my justice. It was for the people behind it who created it to protect their power and control over all of us. It was their own justice. So they will never do anything that allows a precedence to happen to free people up from this vicious cycle where we are fleeced of our fruits of labor. Because that's all that's happening. Regardless of how much you lose yourself in the system to investigate, it's just money, the commerce, the system is structured around your fruits of labor, this man's fruits of labor, and the necessities to keep the vessel alive: food, water, shelter, family, community. But you understand the tentacles have been so they've the middlemen, the interlopers, intermeddlers of these people are into everything. So you don't have any true freedom, right? There's a stop sign everywhere you turn. There's a red light and a green light, and you've got to learn, you have to be educated to know what you can and can't do. And so we're actually all discriminated against. This is co-creation slavery because 99% of, I'm exaggerating, and maybe it's only 95%, but maybe it's 99% of all of man are not very good with mathematics. They're not very good at all with mathematics. They may bluff it. They may think they're very good at it. But you have to become very, very good at mathematics, and with that, geometry. Because Because commerce is based on weights and values or measurements. And you've got to know how measurements work, because it's just we're moving commercial values like a vessel carrying cargo from point A to point B. And there are fees and tariffs and charges in moving the vessel from here to here to here to here to here. And so the whole system requires a very smart brain that knows mathematics well, can forecast well, and knows how to be entrepreneurial, who can create a business and make money and protect that follow through. And usually it takes you to sell out inside this world of these Freemasons where you're looked after, right? Now, that's one of the major discriminations. Most people are not good at it. Secondly, most people do not like taking advantage of other people. Most people are simple people. It's like a peasant mentality, which actually is not a peasant mentality. It's a true co-creator, because they just like being busy on the land, creating and working with nature and pottering, doing what they love doing around the family and caring for children and grown-up children and grandchildren and building and making things around the land and the home, without no one hanging over the top as a threat to take that away from you. You see? So we are, for most of us, we're simple people who shy away from using and abusing, manipulating other people, generally speaking.
Muggles.
And we're not, and because, just bear with me, because we're not good at commerce.
Yeah.
We're not good at commerce. We're talking about not even 1% of the population who can take advantage of the other 99%, because that tiny percentage of people have no problems using and abusing, manipulating and controlling other people. And and at the cream at the top of that are the psychopaths behind all corporations and governments and every facet of the system, who make these heartless decisions, who support cruelty beyond most of our comprehension. How the hell can we be like that? You follow? So you've got to get your head around this, because the co-creation of the hierarchy, the structures of the system, where the status quo is kept in that place, is that follow through that happens all the time, because we support it. So that's why I pulled out, because I don't want to support this. When I got to see it, I said, I'm the problem. I've got to change my attitude. I've got to change the way I'm thinking. Now, in the co-creation of what this man did, in dropping all the contracts with the system, dropping the name, dropping the income, everything, this man had nothing. It went from a large, well, today's value would be like 10,000 a week income. Back then it was like 4,000. That doesn't mean anything. Well, that was the kind of ego trip this man was on, and material things. But in my waking up, I got to realize, shit, I'm actually playing with fire here, and that I am the fire. Because you're playing with fire, you are the fire, man, of hell, burning and raging, expecting everyone else to be like that, so you can get what you want from everybody else, because you need all the good things coming from everyone else who've been got at for you to have it. If you comprehend that kind of co-creation, at this man pulling out, I then had to create dreams that didn't operate like that. So one of the first things this man decided to do, this is in 2005, 2006, I'm going to attract people who want a gift to support the dream this man's holding. When I look back on it, it was the best thing I ever did, because that's exactly how we are co-creating if we were not got at as kids. Because we're gifted with the resources of nature to create and expand the magnificence of nature with a conscience that would never do harm to anything either. The complete opposite of, we have the resources of nature, we must use and abuse, rape, pillage and plunder everything, because we are nature too. So using, abusing and manipulating each other, and we're just ending up in this pell-mell of such terrible, terrible conditions, because we're the ones creating it. So in creating a dream for others to come and support the dream, which was happening through writing and sharing insights, because that's what happened, and then creating the website, and then dreaming, and then working out how to get out. We went from the first year and a half, 2 years with Fiona on Centrelink parenting payments, but not in fear of that. While this man was holding a dream and being responsible to operate with no money, no government contracts, nothing. I'm going to attract it. I'm going to create from the good hearts of brothers and sisters who want to support what this man's doing in the dream this man is holding. Because it is a man. It's not God. It's not. It's this man. I'm holding that. I'm the one. I'm it. The buck stops with me. I'm responsible. So we went from no food in the pantry, 3 kids with a 4th about to appear, Fiona getting parenting payments, which is always below the basis of survival in the system. The whole thing of government handout does not keep you above, man. It always keeps you below. And you have to give up a lot. And in that first 2 years, I refused to sell out to that dream. I refused to give up. I'm going to hold that responsibility. Now, the peer pressure of other people around me, those close and afar, those neighbors who got to know us because we moved to a new area, they'll start to think there's something wacko with this guy. This guy's not normal, right? And this comes with the territory because they don't know. They don't know how to do what I'm doing. They don't comprehend the bigger picture, why this man's doing it. But I didn't let that affect me. You see, I didn't let all that stuff play out into the dream that I'm holding so that it would alter the intentions of the dream that was inspired in the first instance. If you get that. So we went through tough periods, really tough periods. And then the gifts started coming in. Basically, when the website got launched, when we managed to make, and that was done for free by someone who made it happen. To get it launched and all that was done for free back then. So I didn't have to pay a cent. People just wanted to help. Now, that was also off the back of us fighting Macquarie Bank and going through all that back then. But I also had this other dream, this big dream that I was holding. Now, you look back on it, we went from like here, we went like, if you can see my finger, we sort of gradually went up like that. I'm still out of the system. I've never earned 1 cent. I don't get involved in the black market. I don't accept cash money. I don't accept government handouts, nothing. I'm still a father. I have a wife. I have 4 daughters, holding this dream, being responsible, and yet it's growing. Now imagine if 2 or 3 of us were doing this together, or 4 or 5 of us. You have to be responsible. You have to be devoted and passionate. You must not have any doubt or uncertainty about what you're doing. That's why it's worked for this man. I mean, only recently someone turned up and gave us a very generous gift, which we needed at the time for the off-grid setup. Extremely generous gift. A few months prior, another generous gift appeared out of nowhere. A couple of years ago, when both our cars, our 2 original cars and the 3rd car that was gifted to us, they all had died. They'd reached the end, and we couldn't keep throwing money at it. And someone out of the blue sent $10,400. Didn't know nothing about the cars. I never put anything out on the internet, never discussed with anybody out there. It was just amongst our private little group, a couple of friends who were involved working with the gardens back at East Bowral. But this gift just what appeared to have come out of Germany by someone who's involved in the Kindom group, Facebook Kindom group, who we wrote to and has never replied, and we've heard nothing. We don't even know if it's a he or a she or a they. But just a gift turned up. And I was able to then hunt for a car. And then another $4,000 was lent to us, which we paid back through other gifts very quickly. And I got Fiona the Mazda CX-9 2010 model, which we then, from that, and you've got to remember Hannah's now involved, and Fiona's involved because they both go to work, and they both willingly gift. They're not a victim to this. There's no gun at their saying, you've got to come work, bring money. They do it because they want to. What their reasons are, you have to ask them. What their motives are. I can only tell you what I'm doing. Because if I don't do this, I can't see any change happening in this man's life or this man's family life. You comprehend that? So co-creation is an attitude. Now,
Starts with
but it's a doing thing. I dropped the name. I dropped the contract. I dropped Medicare. I dropped Centrelink, government handout. I dropped everything. Excuse me about the dog. Quiet, quiet. Sorry. But it's a doing thing. I did it and still doing it. Now, over the years, many people have come in and out of our lives, came and worked in the garden, came and contributed physically and gave gifted fictional dollars to the garden, to our project work. We had a recording studio grew around that gifting. That's all in storage now, most of it. We've got a whole garden with all the experience we've learned, people coming, sharing their experiences. So they came giving their labor as well as their knowledge, their information that helped us to grow more about the dream that this man's holding about returning to Kindom, back to truth, back to paradise. Because I'm holding it. Now, some of these people had fallouts with this man. I never harmed them, never injured them. Their stuff comes up. And they don't have a dream that they can hold to keep them there. And I can't do it for them because that'll make me a cult leader if I do that. They've got to do it. Each one's got to take the responsibilities. As I say to you again, can I hold the responsibility of your family? Can you hold the responsibility for my family and know that there is no back door, that there is no escape from the commitment to make that change? Because if you don't have that kind of commitment, it will never happen. So most of us, 99% of us, in all my experiences over the years of Love for Life, people are not fully with it when it comes to that full responsibility. And they need time. They need whatever it is they need to realize, unless they do take on that full responsibility, they'll keep blaming other people, blame other situations for their weaknesses, because they won't take the responsibility to hold it. Now, for me, regardless of all the confrontations this man's had with a lot of people, I have had a lot. I've never changed. I've never lied. I've never misled anybody. I've never misused, abused anybody, ever. Because it's all full disclosure. It's part of that responsibility. It's all out in the open on the website. It's been out in the open in the videos. It's out in the open with our discussions with you. It's out in the open in our writings. It's not like one time return. It's a chronic, deep, repetitive thing that shows up in our work. So why that's important is because if I was to let go of that dream, then everything everyone did for it, even those who left it and left behind what they did, if I let it go, it's all gone. So I have to hold it. And I have no back door. So I'm not a victim to my circumstances, though it is frustrating. And I find it challenging at times, dealing with the weaknesses of brothers and sisters who don't want to really go the next step in holding that responsibility, where we create the follow through from the good heart and live in the moment, right? Where that follow through, where we live like the sun shines, we live like we breathe. You follow that?
Yeah, it's okay to take full responsibility. I agree with you. This is the point. Like what you wanted to say in other words is it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with each and every one of us. But the thing about taking full responsibility is a great thing for sure. But then there's got to come acquiring knowledge after you take responsibility, or you start taking your responsibility, because we don't even understand or understand how a tree function, how planting food, how to garden. How, like I said, the distance is so big, the gap is so big with nature that even taking full responsibility in our life, we have so much to learn, because we should have learned that stuff when we were young. Like I should have learned gardening and all that stuff.
But here's the big thing. You have to get past the doubt and the uncertainty. You see, nearly all the insights this man's been sharing which has spread into the lives of millions today. I'm not joking. I know it has. I didn't know a single thing of any of it until after I made that commitment. So not only did I not have all those insights, I didn't have any more money or any security, system security, nothing. It was just a man and my willpower. And what I got to see, I didn't have a broken will, and I had the determination and the passion. And in doing it, everything I needed just came and added and added. So the evolution of that knowledge was happening. The evolution of financial requirements of the system, because you've got to use the system to get out of the system. That's how I look at it. Kept happening. Even till today, with this camper trailer, with this $30,000, $40,000 off-grid rig added to the $20,000 of the acquisition of the camper trailer, which we haven't even paid back to a friend who lent us money, gifted it to us. But I want to give, but that's been supported. So this is all happening, and I'm out of the system. Even though Fiona works, she works because she wants to. Hannah works because she wants to. But there's all these other people who want to support too. So if I don't give up and I hold that dream, I don't have to start all over again if I learned the lesson by being stupid, by letting it go and let it all collapse. What's the point of it? All the people who've come into our lives to want to do it and then they fall apart and run away, they have to start all over again from scratch and build it up with people that they can learn to trust so they can work through their shit to free them in the moment to be able to do these powerful kingdom dreams of co-creation we're talking about. So every single man, woman, and child who walk away and give this up are under the power and control of the occultists who are manipulating so they do never return to this. Because this, what this man is offering is the only way out. It's the only way, because it's not defined. It's just remembering what a man is and the power of what we are and the ability to be selfless, truly selfless.
You refer often when you talk about the destiny of the world, especially the Babylon world, you refer to occultists. Don't I'm sure you can agree also that all this happening, all this co-creation happening, has something to do with some kind of divine intervention too. Like it's like the world. The world is not only. I don't think personally that the world is only guided through a Freemason and occultist. I think a lot of things happening has to be with divine. I'm not talking about their nonsense, but like we can name
Yeah, but
all it.
it's still man to the experience, and it's man's dreams. So whatever the intentions are of man, be it a man or collectively more than a man, many of us, we are at the effect of those intentions encoded in the dreams that we breathe out with our breath. So there is no divine outside of all of this intervention going on. It's only us. Now, because there is no time or space, and we are of the eternal moment, of eternal moments, the power of man's dreamings can call forth the power of us today to be the fulfillment, the creation of those dreams, of those lives back whenever they were dreamt. And some of us come as those lives to fulfill what we said we were going to do. I'm one of those. I know I am. But that doesn't mean you should follow me or that I'm better. I just refuse to live in the system, and I refuse to support it because I can see the bigger picture of the consequences if we keep supporting it and what becomes of our lives, our real lives, and of all those who are affected by it. Because it really is death. And for many, it's eternal death because they end up in a deep sleep they can never wake up from because they dreamt it that way. Because they don't have a dream they've created. All they got is nonsense. The echoes of the duality hoops in their heads, repeating the fantasy. And they die like that.
don't you think also it's of equal importance to let go of the system? I mean, financially and all that, but also mentally, like to let go
Yeah, but
mentally,
yeah,
because many will want to let go financially of the system and all that, but they're still very ingrained in the Babylon programming, like.
because they've never practiced it. They've never practiced a bigger picture to see it all from a bigger picture outside of the Babylon programming. So how would they know? And if someone comes along and claims that they're a divine being or something, they're all bullshit, because you're dealing with free will here. We're dealing with truly just free will. And we live and die by the free will of our choices, because we don't know the scale of how compromised we have become in dreaming dreams that other people provided for us, and not a single dream that we have uniquely created. And unless we have a dream that we have inspired from our heart greater than the collective Babylonian programming, we actually die in that, and it's finished, because you've never created a soul. You've got no soul. And no one can come along and create a soul for you. All those who come along to mislead anyone by saying, come to this afterlife, follow to this and that, that is occultic deception. Because anything come from the truth does not lead anybody to anything. So that's why I say to you, will I take on responsibility for your life? Will you take on responsibility for this man's life? That's not following. That's being accountable for the dream we say we want to live for. That's using our free will, and it has no broken will in it. Are you prepared to hold that responsibility and walk that talk, live that dream? Now,
I get,
I can tell you,
I get what you say about divine, that there is only man, but why do beings of this earth get upset sometime when you tell them there's no God, there's no divine, there's no, like,
because
there's nobody else but us? Why do we get so upset about that fact?
they're spoon-fed slaves. They've got spoon-fed God, because it's the only kind of comfort they've got that makes them feel good about themselves, all the while they're fucking broken down slaves, being butchered and belted and all that. That's why. That's the only reason why. And then the rest comes out of confusion, because some people truly experience elation, but they only have the constructs that came out of the Babylonian programming to give meaning to what they've experienced. So that's all they've got to default to. And so they get deceived into that as well. Unless they meet someone like this man who can explain to them a bigger picture and show to them what might have happened. I can't tell them what their soul is. I can at least tell them how the Babylonian system works, which is what I've become very good at. And I've practiced that follow through, you see. So this is not about, look, you've got to know this shit for what it is. You've got to know it all, because if you don't, you can't navigate your way out, because you'll be thinking dreams, thinking thoughts that you believe is part of the remedy, but when in fact it's part of the Babylonian program that keeps you trapped in the duality of the hoops and the loops, right? But because you don't have enough wisdom to see it. So some element comes along and goes bang, 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 bang. People take that person, they go, oh my God, he's attacking me. When I'm not, I'm just saying you're still in the emotions of that fantasy, of that demonic possession controlling you. That's why I get Fiona a couple of times I've had to shake Fiona. Wake up. You're in the program now. Wake up. The immune system's saying, this is not part of the dream. We don't accept this stuff. Now, Fiona, for example, it's about repression. And with it, potentially depression. But she's had it all her life. It's in her brother. Her brother's even far more depressed. But look, what I'm trying to say is that I don't blame them. It's just a byproduct of us being so shut down. Now, if you don't have that,
we're all a bit depressed.
Of course, but you have to confront this shit and do not accept it, and do not let it come into the domain of the dream that you are responsible for. So this is where some, again, like Jabba tries to twist it to make me out as if I'm something else, when my only intention is, no, fuck off, out. You know, that does not operate. That stuff does not operate in this dream. And you have to hold it, because if you don't, you have a broken will, and you will allow the lie, the bit of black spread into the white, to spread. And if you don't rat it out and stop it, who's responsible? This man.
Yeah.
I got no one else to blame.
You know, when I say we all a bit depressed, it's easy to perceive and to comprehend because you just observe and we can't get enough of what we don't want. So it's for sure it's caused depression. Like that's all we get is nonsense. And
Well,
the deepness of your or your subconscious or there's something within you that makes you reject it, but the ego keeps it inside like a shell, like something, a big armor, you know, that protects you
I,
from getting out.
I'm still infected,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't let it influence my thinking, my dreaming. The vessel, look, all the pain and suffering on this man's body were created by others. They're not mine. They may be chain reactions, reactive things, but all those intentions that form the imprints of that suffering in the vessel from the womb were not created by this man. So you have no emotional attachment to any outcomes with all this stuff. It's there. Its voice will scream inside your head. It will say all kinds of things. It will make you want to do all kinds of things. Distrust others, write people up, backstab, get into bitch sessions and all this stuff. Gossiping. You've got to get past all this. It's okay to discuss with people about things so they can see what the shit is, so they can learn about it, so they can learn not to be like that. So from that intention, even this man will discuss other people's stuff. But I usually, and very rarely have I ever done it, I don't think I've ever done it, I usually have provided full disclosure to the very people I'm talking about because I've already confronted them and talked to them about it. See, so it all comes back to that intention. Unless you can recognize the system, which is what the voices are in your head are for, which is all, when you talk about Babylonian, we're talking about black magic, right? Babylonian just means black magic to me.
Yeah.
It's the occults. It's people being inside your head, telling you how to think and feel, and trying to control you through emotion. So you will always go with that. And, when the police car's flashing, you abide and you do everything because you're just a willing robot. This man won't. I
Should
don't do any of that.
shouldn't we call it instead of black magic, dark magic? Eh,
Like it's dark, dark. Yeah, you can call it.
I
Yeah,
prefer
I accept
dark
that.
magic.
I accept that. I accept that intention of yours. But if you don't face this stuff and are willing to go to a bigger picture, you're not going to be able to break away because the truth is we are in Babylon,
Yeah,
but this man is not of Babylon.
exactly.
So this man is in the dark magic, in the black magic, but he's not of. Meaning, even though it's all playing out and stuff comes in this man's head, all that shit, I'm strong enough to see it for what it is and leave it to one side and concentrate on what
Peter
this
Tosh,
man's.
Peter Tosh used to say, "I'm a man from the past, living in the present, walking in the future."
You have to have that discipline. You got to have that passion, that determination, that drive. You can't contrive this. You can't word it into actions. It has to be authentic, and you can't. All you can do is create the domain, the space for others to come, and not allow them to do it. So you got to create those. You got to create the light for those lost in the darkness to return to. Because if we don't create the light, there is nothing of the light for those lost in the darkness. They will never know, ever wake up. So some of us cop it. It comes with the territory. We cop it. Oh, if there's this, oh, if there's that. Oh. Look, you have to get past all this. I don't care what people think. It's it's what I do, what I'm about. And if those who want to find out, they'll come and find me. And some people do. They come and meet me and talk to me. Get to know us. Get to know Fiona.
That's what I
Find out
did.
what our
You
yeah,
interested? That's what I did.
yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
thank you very much, Arthur. It's been an hour. We're gonna keep going next Sunday again on that topic of co-creation. I think it's long for you also to put. It's a big work to put all your thoughts together. I exposed you my question tonight about co-creation. Maybe you're gonna go on this following few days and think a little bit more about my question. And next Sunday night for me, yeah, and we will have the chance to extend our thinking on this because it's very interesting, but also it like people get hurt easily when we start talking about that stuff because like I said, it's deeply programmed within ourselves that there's a divine somewhere or a god or like we cannot accept that we are the gods of this earth or the supreme being or because we've
Yeah.
been also so programmed to think low of ourselves to not think what we really are, so we're all mixed up
Yeah,
mentally.
because the fantasy has filled the void of the level of responsibility we've given up.
Exactly.
It's the responsibility. If we took the full responsibility, that stuff will not play out. So that's probably the main message of this video is that unless you're prepared to take that full responsibility and be exactly how you feel it from your heart and walk that talk, and no matter what comes along can never undermine it, you will never change. It will never happen. It will not live because no one's living the dream. You got to live. That's what live in the dream. If you
In
live in the dream, you are the dream of your good heart.
exactly.
And if you're going to do that, remember this. It means you don't own anything. You don't own a home. It's no longer about your possessions anymore. It's about going into a dream where all that's taken care of by the conscience of everyone who working together, not under communism, simply because our conscience would never deny you to have that freedom. You know, in the Ringing Cedars books, they talk about 1 hectare. If you don't want to be nomadic and go back to nomadic lives, which probably will come later when we break down the system, but 1 hectare is more than enough. Now, if you get 5,000 acres as a group, all the best bits for everyone to enjoy. We take all the worst bits and transform it back to paradise. And we don't sit there and argue over who's got the best spot, the best vantage, the best look, best. You got to get past all this.
Past the judgment, and we have become very judgmental too. That's a big thing to talk about, but we will have the chance to extend on this. So
Okay.
thanks again, Arthur, and that's it. I'll see you next Sunday. Boom! We're signing out right now.